ACC championship game Saturday night, 8 o'clock Eastern in Charlotte. It's FSU versus Louisville. If you haven't looked at point spreads this week, it might surprise you to know that Florida State is merely a 2.5-point favorite at FanDuel over Louisville. It's a weird spot. It's a weird spot because most of the time when you get in conference championship type situations, you know everything there is to know about teams. And at that point, it's, do they play up to what we know their potential is? Well, we don't know what Florida State's potential is. You lose your quarterback, everything gets the reset button hit on it. And so we have to throw out their stat profile. Florida State becomes a different team now. Doesn't mean they can't win. It's just we kind of got to figure out how this team will beat Louisville. This is the best statistical offense that Florida State has seen since the LSU game. That sounds a little weird, doesn't it? Statistically now, man for man, I'm not making comment on that. I'm saying statistically, they faced LSU in week 1. This is the next best team they will have faced. Maybe they fare against Louisville like they did against LSU. That's the best I saw Florida State look all year, so that'd be tough. But let's see. Florida State's strength today, without Jordan Travis, is their ground game. Trey Benson, we talked about him Sunday night. Huge performance. 3 touchdowns on the ground against Florida. The problem is you're facing a top 15 run defense in Louisville. I would be very surprised if Florida State just ran the ball to a victory Saturday. They're going to have to do something through the air. Tate Rodemaker is going to have to be a significant enough performer and a mistake-free enough performer through the air to get the job done. Louisville's number 3 in red zone defense, too. So they make it tough. This is not an easy defense to move the ball on, and especially if they get the sense that you're becoming one-dimensional, then you're really in for a long night. I wonder, because of that, how much Florida State has to do through the air. How much do they have to ask that young quarterback or that green quarterback to do through the air? Because the weapons are there, like Coleman and Wilson, like those guys are there. It's just how comfortable are you, or if it's necessary, how confident are you in leaning on him? Because the other side, I'm looking at Jack Plummer, who sort of quietly has been one of the best transfer portal additions at quarterback for any team in the country this year. 21 touchdowns, 11 picks. FSU can put pressure on him. They're going to have to. I think about that Clemson game where FSU went up there and defense kind of stole the show. Defense needs to do that again here. Louisville will turn the ball over. They turned it over 3 times last week against Kentucky. They had another turnover on downs. You got to get after Plummer. And from a galvanization standpoint, that entire team has to know. From the running back room to the outside linebackers, everywhere in between, they got to know it is not Jordan Travis that's about to win us a conference championship. It's the team that's got to win it. And so if defense has to score, then that's what it's going to take. Or at least if defense has got to set you up with short fields 3 times, that's what it's going to have to take. They need that Clemson formula. They're number 8 defensively in sacks in the country. They got to hit the quarterback. They got to knock balls loose. They got to pick balls off. They got to force fumbles. They got to go above and beyond to give themselves the best shot of winning this Saturday. A key player to watch also on the other side is Jordan. The running back for Louisville is a 1,000-yard rusher, 6.4 yards per carry. And while Florida State's pretty good against the pass, they're just above average against the run, 47th in the country against the rush. Just keep an eye on that. We're talking a lot about Trey Benson. It may be the other guy that you talk about in the fourth quarter. Okay, the FanDuel number right now is Florida State minus 2.5. Let's take a look at what the model thinks. The model is even shorter on Florida State than that. Our number, according to the model, is Florida State minus 1.5. I went back and took a long look at Louisville, Kentucky last week because we've nailed Louisville games this year. We picked them to beat Notre Dame. They did. And then we picked them to lose to Pitt the next week, and they did. So model's been pretty dialed in on Louisville. They turned the ball over 3 times against Kentucky and had another turnover on downs, and that led to a loss. And I think it is the worst time to face Louisville. I think Louisville's going to pull the upset. I think they're going to win and obviously cover. I don't think this is a really good matchup. I don't think it's a favorable matchup at all for Florida State. Had Travis, it's a different story. But at the same time, man, I thought they were going to lose to Florida last week. And you could argue they should have, but I don't really ever say that because if you should have, you would have. They found a way to win. it could very well be that this Saturday night, you watch Louisville outgain them, and you think they outplayed them, and there's Florida State. Somehow they've used 10 fingers to plug 13 holes in the dam, and they win. And you're like, how did they do that? It's Mike Norvell's team, man. They found a way to do it all year. I think Louisville's going to win. It's a small confidence wager there, but I think they're going to win.